Do you use mindfulness CBT exercises? Mindfulness CBT exercises, mindfulness cognitive behavioral therapy exercises, are effective ways of stopping negative thinking and changing our beliefs. As a meditation teacher, read my guide to 31 meditation techniques. I am always on the lookout for alternative complementary ways to train the mind. And mindfulness CBT exercises are a great way to do that. But here's a key point. CBT exercises aren't just about therapy. If your mind is already healthy, you can use mindfulness CBT exercises to make it even stronger. In fact, mindfulness CBT exercises are one of my absolute favorite ways to be mentally strong. I believe the mind is the most important tool we have. I believe a healthy, happy mind will produce a positive lifestyle, and a negative, unhappy mind will produce the opposite. That's why I train my mind like an athlete trains their body, spending hours every day doing exercises to keep my mind in top condition. Mindfulness Cognitive Behavioral Therapy exercises offer an alternative to meditation, and can be used with meditation as a powerful way to strengthen the mind. In this guide I will show you all the best mindfulness CBT techniques, what are mindful cognitive behavioral therapy exercises, and how does MBCBT work. CBT stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. And of course, mindfulness refers to the meditation practice of mindfulness. Read Ultimate Guide to Mindfulness Meditation. Exercises in CBT are basically about stopping negative thoughts. Once you stop those negative thoughts, you can replace them with more positive and healthy thoughts. Put simply, CBT techniques are a series of cognitive thinking exercises you can use to correct unhealthy thinking. And honestly, it is one of the best mind training techniques. Mindfulness Cognitive Behavioral Therapy exercises. Mind.org says, CBT is a type of talking treatment that focuses on how your thoughts, beliefs and attitudes affect your feelings and behavior, and teaches you coping skills for dealing with different problems. A personal example of mindfulness cognitive behavioral therapy exercises in action: when I was a kid, I was out of shape and was bullied badly for it, called fatso and lazy. I heard those words so much I began to think them, and the thoughts soon became a belief. It has been proven that our beliefs affect our perception of reality. Believing I was fat and lazy made me live the life of a fat and lazy person, never exercising, eating unhealthily, and wasting time playing games and watching TV. This continued until I went to university. At uni, I started to challenge my thoughts. Every time I thought I was fat and lazy, I would immediately tell myself otherwise, and I would hit the gym to prove that those negative, harmful thoughts were wrong. That's one way CBT exercises and meditation have changed me. So, how do you do CBT techniques? 15 cognitive behavioral therapy exercises you should try today. Cognitive behavioral therapy exercises are all about changing harmful thoughts and beliefs. Read 11 types of negative thinking you need to change. CBT exercises are ways of changing unhealthy and harmful thoughts. It usually, and preferably, involves a professional therapist. But you can definitely do CBT techniques at home too. Here are the 15 best CBT exercises to try. Point 1. One of the best CBT exercises is keeping a journal. One of the most fundamental CBT exercises is to write a journal of moods and thoughts. When we do this, we are looking for patterns in our moods and thoughts. Once we notice a pattern, we can take steps to change it. Point 2. An easy cognitive behavioral therapy exercise is to challenge thoughts. One of the main goals of cognitive behavioral therapy is to find and change negative and inaccurate thoughts. In particular, we look for automatic thoughts, thoughts that occur without intention, and repetitive thoughts. When we find these, we challenge them. The poor kid who thinks he is stupid just because he isn't getting straight A's, for instance, can find the counter-argument, find ways he actually is intelligent, and start to erase the negative thoughts. My guide to making positive thinking automatic will help with this. Point 3. This CBT exercise for changing behavior. This CBT exercise is used mostly for OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. For this exercise, we intentionally expose ourselves to situations in which we respond in negative or repetitive ways. We then intentionally recreate the event and try to act in a different way. Point 4. Introspective exposure. This is a CBT exercise for panic attacks and anxiety. For this exercise, we intentionally recreate bodily sensations that we normally respond badly to. We then deliberately react in new, different, and healthier ways. This trains the mind to stop reacting to the sensation with panic and anxiety. Point 5. Try this CBT exercises for fear. Most of the time when we feel fear, we immediately stop the thoughts. For instance, if we fear the dentist, the moment we think of the dentist, we force the thought aside. In this cognitive behavioral therapy exercise, we actually allow the fear to continue to the end. We see ourselves going to the dentist, getting that painful work done, and then carrying on with life. This trains us to realize that even if the worst happens, things will probably not end up that bad. Point 6. Changing behavior experiment. This CBT exercise is a way to test how different thoughts and beliefs lead to different actions. For instance, if we believe that being hard on ourselves makes us work harder, we experiment with the opposite. We try being nice to ourselves and see whether it creates a better result. This is an opportunity to change our behavior and see the results. 7. Use this cognitive behavioral therapy exercise to change your perspective. This CBT technique is basically thinking the other way. For an example, let's go back to our unfortunate kid at school who's being bullied and flunking exams. He starts to think he's a failure. What can he do? He can write all the evidence that he is a failure. And then he can write all the evidence that he is a success. This gives our kid a better perspective. He now is aware of his shortcomings, but he's also aware of his strengths too. 8. Try this CBT exercise for positive thought. Scientists have proven that positivity makes you healthier. But how can you train your mind to think more positively? We can intentionally schedule positive events in the future to look forward to. Look at the positives from the past. Look for positives in the present moment, focusing on all the good things happening right now. In fact, we should probably do all three of those things. This is a simple way to start thinking positively. Point 9. Here's one of the best CBT exercises for fear. For this CBT technique, write a list of our fears or of negative things we are worried about. List those events from best to worst. Go through each event, starting with the easiest and working towards the hardest. And actually face those fears. This builds our tolerance for unpleasant experiences and trains the mind to overcome fear. It is a powerful CBT technique. Point 10. Turning negative to positive. For this CBT technique, we simply write a positive version of every negative thought. I'm ugly, we think, so we write, I'm beautiful. Point 11. Oh, I forgot about that. In this technique, we simply remember all the positive things that happened in the past day. Point 12. I hate that, but I love that. This final technique is about turning negatives to positives. When we think about a negative situation, or when we are actually in a negative situation, we immediately find things about the situation that we like. This trains the mind to stop dwelling on the negative and to see the positives instead. So that's CBT exercises. How about MBCBT exercises? Mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy exercises. Mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy exercises take things further by combining CBT exercises with meditation. We've looked at 12 great cognitive behavioral therapy exercises. Now let's take things further by introducing mindfulness. Mindfulness CBT exercises are powerful. Combining cognitive thinking exercises with meditation makes for a potent concoction. Mindfulness slows the mind so we can see what is happening in our thoughts. Mindfulness CBT exercises let us change those harmful thoughts. It's easy to see why mindfulness CBT exercises are the best. What are mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy exercises? I previously discussed combining meditation and CBT. One way to do that is with MBCBT exercises. Mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy exercises are precisely what they sound like, combining mindfulness practices with CBT exercises. Cognitive psychologist Dr. Zindel Siegel is the author of The Mindful Way. Amazon. Dr. Siegel says, mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy combines the ideas of cognitive therapy with meditative practices. The heart of this work lies in becoming acquainted with the modes of mind that often characterize mood disorders while simultaneously learning to develop a new relationship to them. Mindfulness CBT exercises are about studying the mind so we can take control of it. The mindfulness aspect is based on Jon Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness-based stress reduction. Source: goodtherapy.org. Mindfulness-based stress reduction uses. Let's take a look at some of the best mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy exercises. Try these mindfulness CBT exercises. 13. CBT breathing technique. One of the main mindfulness CBT exercises is 3-minute breathing space. It's basically a quick mindfulness of breath exercise. Zindel Siegel calls the 3-minute breathing a practice for approaching experience from two attentional lenses, both narrow and wide. Source: Mindful. It's broken into 3 minutes. For the first minute we observe how we are feeling, and describe those feelings in words. For the second minute we practice awareness of breath. For the third minute we continue focusing on the breath but extend awareness to the whole body. 14. Body scan. Mindfulness cognitive behavioral therapy body scan meditations are a very popular technique. You've probably seen these types of meditation on YouTube and on meditation apps like Insight Timer. Read my guide to body scan meditation for more on this. It's a great way of increasing happiness and reducing the symptoms of anxiety and depression. 15. Mindful CBT stretching exercise. Mindful stretching is precisely as it sounds, stretching while focusing on the body. The different types of mindful stretching include pandiculation, a ridiculously complex name that basically refers to the type of stretches we do when we yawn, palms on shoulders, elbows raised, mouth open. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. This is the type of stretch given to a football player who has cramp in their legs. Gomukhasana, cow face pose. In cow face pose we sit with crossed legs and interlock the hands behind the back in a way that expands the chest. Learn this pose in Yoga Journal's guide. Side-to-side neck stretch. This is a very simple pose in which we use one hand to pull the head to the side. Ekapada Rajakapotasana, one-legged king pigeon pose. In this position, we have the hips to the mat with one leg in front, perpendicular to the mat, and the other legs stretched out straight behind us. This is a more complex pose that beginners may struggle with. For a guide to this pose, take a look at Yoga Outlet's guide. The scorpion. This is a modified version of Vrshikasana, scorpion pose. To do the pose we lie flat on the front with the arms out to the side. We then lift the right foot high up and press the right hip out. Next, we stretch the right foot to the outside of the left leg. It's important to keep the chest and the arms on the floor while doing this. Bonus, CBT stop technique. CBT stop technique is a method to stop negative thinking in its tracks. In CBT, stop technique is used to intercept bad thoughts and immediately change them. Here's how to do the CBT stop technique. Notice when you have a negative thought, stop. Take a mindful breath. Mindy, observe the thoughts going through your mind. Notice what you're focusing on. Notice sensations in the body. Pull back. Examine the thoughts. What's the big picture of the thought? What's an alternative way to look at this situation? How important is the thought? What would you say to a friend who had this thought? What is the number one thing you could do right now to help yourself? Do it. Bonus 2, CBT downward arrow technique. CBT downward arrow technique. Here's a guide by the excellent David D. Burns MD, is a technique to uncover core beliefs that harm us. The CBT downward arrow technique is usually done with a licensed therapist. Here's how the CBT downward arrow technique works. The therapist chooses one negative thought from the patient's journal. For instance, let's say you have a negative thought that an upcoming work meeting will go badly. The therapist asks, why would it upset you if this happened? The patient answers the question. If my meeting goes badly, the boss will be angry. The therapist then asks why that would matter. If the boss is angry, it will affect my work. This keeps going until we hit upon the core self-defeating belief, because if I lose my job, I won't be able to support my family. The purpose of the CBT downward arrow technique is to discover the self-defeating belief that is causing negative thoughts, and not necessarily to change it. Bonus 3. Mental contrasting. We all know positivity doesn't actually work. But there is an alternative. Mental contrasting. Positive thinking essentially does not work for a few reasons. When we think positive, the mind thinks we have already achieved our goal. Too much positive thinking will make our goal look easier than it is. When we force ourselves to think positively, we refuse to see the more negative or more challenging aspects of reality, and so we do nothing to change those things. A better idea is the CBT technique of mental contrasting. Mental contrasting is a technique in which we contrast positive thoughts about the future with acknowledgement of the obstacles in our way. And vice versa. We can balance out anxieties about the future by thinking about the positives preventing those negative situations from happening. Gabrielle Oettingen of New York University recently published research into this techniques. She tells the Daily Meditation, when you mentally contrast the thoughts and fantasies about a desired future with the main inner obstacle of reality standing in the way, you'll find clarity about what you want and can achieve, and you invest the effort to fulfill your wishes and attain your goals. Oettingen researched the effects of mental contrasting on fears and anxieties. The research shows that we can reduce anxiety in this way. When we think negatively about the future, we think about the present reality and everything that is standing in the way of that future coming true. For instance, if you are worried you will become unhealthy, consider the present reality. You are healthy now. You exercise, you eat healthy, you make healthy choices, etc. This contrast puts things back in perspective. Research shows that the mental contrasting CBT technique promotes success and reduces anxiety. Frontiers in Psychology recently published research into the effects of mental contrasting. Here's how the study worked. 405 participants were asked to do one of the following. Think about an E. coli outbreak. Think about E. coli outbreak and also think about the present realities that were preventing that outbreak from happening. This test showed that people who used the mental contrasting technique has significantly lower level of anxiety. After this, participants were asked to think about an actual event that would soon happen in their lives, an event they felt negatively about. Half the group were asked to also think about the present reality that prevented that negative situation from happening. The group that used mental contrasting once again had much lower levels of anxiety. Oettingen states that mental contrasting in this way can both help us to be successful and can also stop anxiety. How to do mental contrasting CBT technique. We can use mental contrasting to stop anxiety and to develop self-motivation. Let's take a look at how to do both of these things. Example of mental contrasting for success. Visualize a wish coming true, or a goal being met. Imagine that your ideal reality is coming true right now. Imagine all the good things that would come from this wish coming true, and how you would feel. Identify the obstacles and problems that could prevent you from being successful. These could be inner or outer obstacles. E.g., you want to lose weight but you lack motivation. Acknowledge it. Or you want to lose weight but you can't afford the gym. Again, acknowledge it. Make a specific plan to overcome the negatives that are stopping you from being successful. Example of using mental contrasting for anxiety. We can also use mental contrasting to get a grip on anxiety. Visualize something bad happening. Imagine that your fear has become a reality. Imagine the negatives that would come from that. Stop if you feel too much anxiety or fear. Think about all the present positives that are stopping the negative situation from happening. Make a specific plan to make use of the present positives to stop the thing you are anxious about. Learn more about mental contrasting. When to learn more about mental contrasting, I recommend reading Rethinking Positive Thinking, Amazon, by study lead Gabrielle Oettingen. In Rethinking Positive Thinking, Oettingen reveals the secret science of why positive thinking typically does not work. And she offers valuable insight into how mental contrasting can unlock our true potential. Recommended reading, Yoga and Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy. Besant Prashant has created an excellent guide to MBCBT Yoga. It explains how to combine mindfulness and yoga to heal body and mind. It's called Yoga and Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy. Get it on Amazon. More mindful activities as well as the practices above. MBCBT recommends doing everyday activities in a mindful way. For instance, Mindy clean the dish seat, Mindy brush your teeth, shower, Mindy take a look at these 25 mindful habits for some great ways to introduce mindfulness to everyday activities. Combine meditation and CBT for best results. Meditation and CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, are two highly popular exercises among the spiritually awakened and the scientifically educated. Good news is this: when you combine meditation with CBT, you get some seriously mind-blowing effects. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's look at what CBT and meditation are, and why, if you're into mental fitness, you seriously need to start doing both. What are CBT and meditation? Two sides of the same coin, but meditation and CBT are ways of training the mind. With meditation and CBT, we train the mind to be more relaxed, more productive, more balanced, and just plain old healthier. Meditation and CBT are both excellent ways of achieving and maintaining mental fitness. And yet, in many ways, they are opposite. Meditation is the practice of focusing the mind, often by sitting with crossed legs and focusing on the breath. This is done to silence thoughts and to live in the moment. Read 31 meditations to try. Meditation is usually done with a meditation teacher. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a way of challenging and changing our thoughts. It is a series of thinking exercises. CBT is often done in counseling sessions with a cognitive behavioral therapist. So, as you can see, the two practices are basically opposite approaches to the same thing. While most meditation techniques involved silencing thoughts, CBT involves listening to thoughts and changing them. Why should you care? Because there are massive benefits of CBT and meditation. Benefits of CBT include ability to recognize unhelpful thoughts. Ability to challenge and change unhelpful thoughts can make us more balanced. EED can make us more productive. Anger management. Stress management helps with depression and anxiety. And then there are the 100 benefits of meditation. So, meditation and CBT are alternative, and in some ways opposite, forms of achieving the same thing. So, how do meditation and CBT work together? This is where things get interesting. What happens when you combine CBT with meditation? I'm totally stunned by the results of doing CBT with meditation. I've been merging CBT and meditation for a few months now in my own practice, and it has made a world of difference. If you think meditation is good, meditation plus CBT is 10x better. Here's why. CBT solves so many of the problems of meditation. And meditation solves so many of the problems of CBT. Why CBT improves meditation? Meditation is definitely a hugely beneficial practice. It relaxes the mind, silences our thoughts, and helps us to live in the moment. But there is one problem with most meditation techniques. Most meditation don't actively change your thoughts, they just make your thoughts less impactful, so your negative thoughts have less of an effect. I say most meditations because, of the more than 700 meditation techniques in existence, some do help with thoughts, but the most popular techniques, such as mindful breathing, are really about silencing thoughts and relaxing the mind. When you meditate, you become more relaxed, but sooner or later your old thoughts will come creeping back up on you unless you change them. Cognitive behavioral therapy actually changes those thoughts. So that's why CBT helps meditation. Now let's look at the ways meditation helps with CBT. Why meditation improves CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a way of recognizing and changing negative thoughts. There are many different CBT exercises. Take a look at these on Positive Psychology program. Those exercises are all ways of recognizing, challenging, and changing your thoughts. For instance, one CBT exercise involves recognizing when you are thinking negatively about yourself, and then thinking of yourself in more positive ways. CBT works. That's been scientifically proven. There's just one problem. In order for CBT to work effectively, you have to be able to identify your thoughts while they are going through your head. This is not easy. Some thoughts last only a few tenths of a second. Being able to recognize those thoughts, identify them, and change them is hard. Traditional CBT makes up for this by using a counselor. You talk your problems through with a CBT psychotherapist. They identify the negative thought patterns for you and make notes. In other words, you don't have to identify your own thoughts. There are a few problems with this. Not everyone can afford a psychologist. Health insurance will sometimes pay, but not always. Some people prefer to handle their problems on their own, and in my case, I'm actually more interested in training my mind with CBT and meditation and not for a specific health problem. It's an exercise I do for me to keep my mind fit. No doctors needed. Doing CBT unaided is massively beneficial, but it's not easy because you have to be highly aware of your thoughts. Most people simply do not have that level of insight and awareness. You know the saying, blink and you miss it? That's definitely true for thoughts. To catch your negative thoughts, you have to be aware. This is where meditation helps. CBT meditation boosts our awareness so that we are actually able to spot the thoughts that need to change. Quick recap: meditation calms and relaxes the mind. CBT changes our thoughts. Doing CBT without a psychotherapist is difficult because thoughts occur so quickly they can be hard to catch. When we meditate, we slow the mind and boost awareness so we can identify our thoughts and then change them. When we combine CBT with meditation, we slow the mind, become aware of our thoughts, and can then change our thoughts. How to combine meditation with CBT? What I'm about to say is through my own experience in my own meditation practice, and is not scientifically proven. And while what follows is great news for most people, if you have a serious health condition, you should seek professional help. I have personally been combining CBT with meditation for many months now. It's been fantastic. In fact, it has changed my life in ways I thought would never change. The CBT exercises above will help to reduce stress, anxiety, and negative thoughts. However, there are also many more ways to practice CBT. I've discussed all my favorite CBT-style exercises in this YouTube video. So that's the CBT part taken care of. What about the meditation part? Well, that's easy. If you already have a meditation practice, it will already be helping you with CBT. If your meditation relaxes you, slows your mind, and raises your consciousness, it will automatically help you to perform CBT more effectively. Here's some tips on how to get even more out of meditation when adding CBT to the mix. Stop thinking too much. We use CBT to change thoughts. However, if you have too many thoughts in your mind, and they are all happening too quickly, you won't be able to pinpoint any one specific thought to change. The solution to this is to start thinking less. That way you will be able to spot individual thoughts and change them accordingly. Get started on this now. Read my guide to thinking less. Develop insight. To be successful with cognitive behavioral therapy, you need to be aware of what's happening in your own mind. That can be a challenge. And it's another reason why meditation plus CBT works so well. By meditating, we can increase our insight so we are aware of the workings of the mind. We then see what's happening within, and once we see our thoughts, we can change them. CBT and meditation. For a healthy mind, it just doesn't get much better than this. In my personal experience, when you do CBT and meditation at the same time, you get fantastic results. You get the relaxed and slow mind that meditation gives, plus the healthier thoughts that CBT produces. I've tried both meditation and CBT by themselves. Done individually, both techniques were somewhat helpful. Done together, CBT and meditation are 10 times more powerful. If you have a serious health concern, both meditation and CBT should be one with a professional therapist, meditation teacher. For many people, however, self-help done through a combination of meditation and CBT will yield excellent results. I know it has